All right, guys, thank you for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. Got a cool one for you here today that I hope you'll enjoy. Okay, I named this video, Get Your Act Together. And the reason I did that is because that's what you need to do right now. That's right. Once summertime comes in and we sort of get past the spring's 3D season, we're only a couple of months away from hunting season opening, okay? That means even if you have 2.5, 3 months, some guys way less than that, but let's just say you've got a couple of months till hunting season. Think about it. You are that close to planning your hunts, going to the woods, trying to kill an animal with a traditional bow, right? All right, that means you got to get your act together now. That means now. You got to start working on it now. It's the perfect time. In other words, when things sort of settle down a little bit in the summer months, you get some longer days, more daylight, more evening time to get out and actually shoot your bow. And what you have to do, guys, is you got to start thinking really hard about, number one, your process, your shot process, whatever that might be. Thinking about your process, how you're going to shoot your bow, which bow you're going to shoot, what you're going to actually hunt with. Arrows. Okay, guys, with all the videos that have been done about arrow tuning, bear shaft tuning, all sorts of setups, I don't believe there's anything much more important to start with than to match your bow with the right arrow, okay? Especially for hunting. Now, 3D is one thing. You can shoot feather light arrows in 3D all day long, but when it comes to hunting, they don't work, okay? Trust me, they don't work. I've had guys ask me, okay, Jeff, how light can I get by with on my total arrow weight for hunting? Well, number one, don't starve your bow. Don't go less than 10 grains per pound minimum. Whatever you draw, don't go below 10 grains per pound on your total arrow weight. But you need to go a little bit more, okay? If I had to say, well, what is my perfect number, I would say around 12. That's right, 12 grains per pound that you are drawing in total arrow weight is a very good equation. It's not overkill, you don't lose trajectory, but you get plenty of penetration, provided you have a sharp two-blade broadhead. And guys, I'm going to show you the broadheads that I used last year, and I've used pretty much everything out there, and there are some totally awesome broadheads. I love the single bevels, especially like the iron wheel. If you're willing to spend that kind of money, they cannot be beat, okay? But if you're a little bit more budget conscious and you want something that will absolutely do it, there are two options in a two-blade that I highly recommend. Number one, the good old time-proven Magnus Stinger, especially the buzz cuts. Okay, two-blade buzz cut, great head, very affordable. Anybody can get them anytime. They flat out work, and they fly like field tips. Now, I used the Simmons heads last year. That's right, I used the Simmons heads. I used two different ones last year, actually, and got one of them handy here. This is a Swamp Shark. That is a Simmons Swamp Shark, and these are 175 grains. My others are 190 grains. Now, my minimum total point weight that I run is 250 grains. I do not hunt whitetail deer with less than 250 on the front of an arrow. No matter what spine I'm shooting, no matter what weight bow I'm shooting, no matter what, I don't go below 250 grains total weight, be it a combination of the broadhead and the insert, or stock insert and just the broadhead. Doesn't matter. 250 has proven time and time again to be plenty efficient at long range or close range. It has proven time and time again for me, okay? Total arrow weight in general, needs to be over 400 grains, okay? So in other words, if you're shooting a lightweight bow, a 38 to 40 pound bow, shoot about a 420 grain arrow. That's gonna be a good overall hunting weight for you to start with. okay? It should fly fine, provided you get the right spine, they tune out of your bow and all that good stuff. Total weight, they're gonna do great, okay? Now, if you're into the 45 to 50 pound range, I recommend around the 500 grain mark, okay? You don't have to pass that. 480 is very optimal. The buck that I took last year, I shared in that video, I had a 480 grain arrow, complete pass through, 32 yards. Sharp broadhead like these Simmons, okay? If they're razor sharp and you're shooting at least that much weight and your arrow is not severely underspined, where it just doesn't have the backbone to penetrate once it hits bone and flesh and lose its momentum, you'll be fine, okay? If you're over 50 pounds, then you can afford to push between the 500 and 600 grain mark and still have the trajectory because you got the pounds to push it, okay? Excuse me. That is going to be your optimum setup, okay? But as I thought about this video, what I wanted to do was bring a point to you that while you have a couple of months, to get ready, it's never too early. I promise you that. Please don't be one of those guys that waits till 2 weeks from opening day to start trying to decide what you're even gonna do as far as your setup. You need more time. You need more time to play with it, okay? Number one, pick your bow. Now, I've got several bows that I shoot and that I hunt with. I like to switch them up. I like to hunt with different bows. I do. But if you only have one bow or two or whatever, and guys, they do not have to be expensive. Like I did the videos on the Amazon bows, the cheap bows, the $100 bows, your Black Hunters, your Top Archeries, all those bows, they shoot amazing, guys. You don't have to spend big money to shoot just as good as anyone else or anything else. You don't have to. But if you have a custom bow, or if you have a really good manufactured bow, great. Get the one that fits you and don't fight it, okay? If you're shooting right now and you're struggling, I mean, if you're really struggling with your bow, if you're fighting your bow, get a different bow while you got time. Even if you buy a $100 bow, seriously, guys, buy you a cheap bow and set it up right. It's better than fighting a bow that doesn't fit you. If you're trying to shoot too many pounds, it's not going to work. You've got to get pounds that you can manage. And when I say manage, I mean manage. Manage with your anchor, with your form, execution, and be able to shoot consistent. Now, I shoot instinctive. I am just an instinctive shooter by nature. It's in my blood. It's what I like doing. And I have done it all. I've tried it all and used about every method there is. I just personally love shooting instinctive, but that's got nothing to do with how you choose to set up your equipment, okay? No matter your style or how you aim or how you actually shoot the bow, you've got to have them set up right. So what I typically do, guys, is I'll start about this time of the year and I will take each one of my bows because I'm thinking about hunting with them, okay? And I will find the arrow that shoots the very best out of that bow, no matter what brand it is. And I will tell you, some arrows that you buy shoot good out of one bow and don't shoot good out of another, even in the same weight range. That's right. Manufacturers spine arrows within a certain tolerance, okay? Every bow is different. Every limb is different. Like if you have recurve limbs like this one, this is a 45-pound recurve. This bow has a lot more energy than a 45-pound longbow in essence. Therefore, it will shoot a stiffer arrow, okay? Now, to make that easy to understand, the arrow is going to flex a little bit more out of a recurve than it does a longbow, okay? So you can't go too weak of a spine in a recurve. You can shoot a slightly weaker spined arrow out of a longbow generally than you can a recurve pound for pound, okay? So remember that when you're setting them up. In other words, you may have one set of arrows and you may have a compound and a recurve, same poundage. They may or they may not tune out of both bows for you. You may have to have arrows for each bow. It's very possible. What I do is I find the arrow that my bows like the best, and each one of them likes a different arrow. They'll shoot any of them, but when I'm talking perfection, guys, I'm talking 30-yard bare shafting that will fly. When you can achieve that, then you are ready to fletch them and fly broadheads. Because if that arrow will fly 30 yards straight and not go through the air sideways, guaranteed it's going to fly that head, just like a field tip. Because shooting field tips with feathers, the arrow corrects itself out of that bow within just a few feet anyway, and they appear to be really good flight to the naked eye. They really do. But then you can put a broadhead on that arrow and get really, really poor groups, just nothing consistent. And you can blame it on the broadhead, but it's not the broadhead's fault. Nothing can steer and correct an arrow that has blades on the front. No broadhead can correct an arrow that is flying sideways through the air. It's just not going to happen, guys. Okay? It magnifies the problem, if anything. So you have to get your arrows bare shaft tuned within reason. And it's not even as critical with the nock height and the tail high and the tail low as it is the right and left, the spining of the arrow. Match the right spine for your bow. Get them flying straight. Then shoot some broadheads. Okay, you need to shoot broadheads for one other reason, and I'll tell you why. Because shooting a broadhead is a visual thing. Even though, like me, I shoot instinctive, I'll look at my spot and that's what I want to hit, right? Your peripheral vision is going to pick that big broadhead up. When you come to full draw, that big thing is right there. You are seeing it, okay? You're going to see it. You're going to catch it. Even though you don't look at it, it's there. It's just different than shooting field tips. So you need to shoot your broadheads and get used to that sight picture window having a broadhead in it, in your sight window, okay? It's very important, guys. So that's what I do. This time of the year, I will take my bows one by one and I will match arrows to them, get the arrows that's gonna go with those bows. And then I can pretty much choose whatever broadhead I want to shoot because I know that broadhead's going to fly. That's right, I don't have to worry about that. I know that it's going to fly because the arrow is not flying sideways through the air. So that's what you need to do first. Once you have established that, then the most important part comes along, guys. And that is your form. You have got to nail down your form. Whatever style that you choose to shoot, that you plan on being in a tree with, you've got to get that part of your act together to perfection. You've got time, get out there and do it. Work on the release, work on the anchor, work on whatever you need to do that you can shoot consistent over and over and over and over again the same way. So that when the moment of truth comes, you don't have to think about it. It just happens, okay? Subconsciously, you make that shot without thinking about anything. If you've bow hunted very much, like I have, you know how it is when the adrenaline just shoots. When you look and there it is, a deer is closing in, it's coming in, you're gonna get a shot. Your adrenaline goes crazy, okay? You don't have time to think about a 5 or 6 step process. You don't have time for that. It has to be programmed in you through practice, through repetition, through getting out here in your yard during the summertime and executing shot after shot after shot. When you do that, all you will have to do is focus on the spot where you want your arrow to hit that animal and do it without thinking about anything. That's how it is. It's called simple archery, guys. It's simple bow hunting, simple archery. Don't make it complicated. There's no need, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys real quick. I have already found the arrows for this bow. Now, it will shoot way more than this just one set of arrows. I actually have 3 that have tuned out of this bow. But I've got one that I really like really well. And as long as I keep my grains per inch the same, point weight the same, length cut the same, generally they're gonna fly the same. But there again, some brands are natured different and some are not. Now, like for example, I built, just to test this bow, I built some cheap gold tip Warriors. That's right, gold tip Warriors for this bow, a 45-pound bow. These are 500 spine, okay? Now, these arrows I built primarily just to target shoot with. Well, they shoot broadheads phenomenal. They do. So what I will do, and I could very well hunt with these because Warriors are very tough arrows. They're very good arrows. But going one step up, you go to the XT or the Hunter Pro. Same grain per inch, same diameter, same everything, even tougher shaft, okay? And that's what I typically do. But if I wanted to hunt with these Warriors, I certainly would. I have some dark timbers that will shoot out of this bow also. I have Easton Legacies that will shoot out of this bow also. Bare shaft. So I have 3 sets that actually bare shafted out of this that I can pick and choose which ones that I actually want to hunt with. But there very well could be only one that would have, like some of these long bows. They're identical bows, but yet they tend to just love, for instance, gold tip arrows. They just like the gold tips very well. The Eastons don't shoot as good out of some of them, not as consistent. Spine for spine, grain for grain, everything the same, they just don't, okay? I don't know why, but they don't. The dark timbers do not shoot as good out of one bow as they do another bow. As good as they actually are, and they shoot, and they're very affordable arrows. My recurves and 2 of my long bows, love them, okay? Then I have a couple that for some reason they just don't shoot as good. I don't know why. But that's what I'm getting at, guys. You've got to research, you've got to find what's gonna shoot. Okay, so you're saying, well, Jeff, I can't afford to just go buy all these dozens of arrows and try them out and this, that, and the other. No, you don't have to do that. You certainly don't. What you got to do first is figure out your spine, your weight, what kind of bow you've got. Find something in the middle to try, okay? You can actually, if you don't mind fletching your own arrows, if you don't mind doing that, if you'll buy you a fletching jig and get you a pack of feathers, doesn't matter what color or what, get you some 4-inch feathers, get you like a left helical fletcher, like a boning or something for 30-something bucks. You can buy through Lancaster 1 shaft at a time. 1 at a time. They'll sell you 1 or 100, whatever you want. You can go on there and you can buy 1 of each in your spine that you think you might want to shoot. Fletch them up. Put your tips in them. Play with point weight, whatever. Bare shaft them till you find that magic shaft that your bow just loves. Then you can order more, fletch them all up, or have them fletched, whatever you choose to do. But in general, guys, no matter what brand you go with, you can get a set of arrows and bare shaft them, tuning them out of your bow. And you may have to make some little adjustments, do a little bit of tweak here and there, but you can pretty much make any of them shoot within reason really good, okay? But that's why I like tinkering with arrows, because I like to find out what my bow likes the very best. And I have no affiliation with gold tip whatsoever. I don't. But I'll tell you the God honest truth. I've never seen an arrow that would hardly compare to them. I've rarely found an arrow that any bow I have does not like, okay? Gold tips are just good arrows. They are. There's lots of great ones out there on the market, guys. There really are. But for the money, I don't think you can go wrong with gold tip of any kind you want. And I don't really advocate anything, any brand, anybody's particular product. It doesn't matter to me. What works, works, okay? But I can buy cheap Warriors like this. I can buy Hunter XTs, Hunter Pros, traditionals, whatever, and every single one of them, by either trimming, cutting, adjusting point weight or something, will bare shaft tune and shoot excellent out of any bow I own. That's the truth. All right, guys, I'm going to show you how this thing shoots right quick with a broadhead. This is one that I set up with the Warriors, as I showed you. I'm going to shoot it right quick and show you guys how good these cheap arrows fly this big Simmons head. No adjusting anything, screw it on and go. Done. Check it out. How you like that? Dead in that little piece of paper right there. We're talking field point accuracy. When you get your hunting arrows to do exactly what your practice arrows do, then you are ready for the woods, guys. So that's what I wanted to bring to you today and show you. This is what old Jeff does when it gets into the summertime. I start getting hunting minded. I start thinking about my equipment and saying, okay, what do I need to do to, number one, get this bow ready to go to the woods where it's matched and ready. Then I strictly work on my form. I shoot and shoot and shoot and just think about my process. That is number one, and I will share this, guys, with you real quick. The most important part of my process is this anchor. If you want to call it an anchor, most important. And that is when I acquire my target and I line up and I come into my draw, okay? I try my best not to drop my elbow, not to pluck the string, to keep my release hand tucked in and not drop my bow arm, to just keep everything up, keep it all up like this. Put my head on it and shoot. I try my best to think as I'm drawing that bow, as I'm looking at my spot and I'm drawing that bow. Looking at it, draw. Anchor. I think about my anchor. That's the thought that goes through my mind, is get into anchor good and focus. That's it. That's the only thing that my mind thinks about for just that little second. And I execute. It's done. I don't think about anything else. But when you do it enough, over and over and over and over, it will become second nature. Guys, it will become second nature. You won't have to think about it. So guys, I appreciate you watching today. Thank you so much for joining me on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. I love you. Pray that everything we do bring honor and glory to the good Lord above that gives us all things to enjoy. Goodbye.